The next front in the battle with Ottawa.
When we told them to stay out of provincial jurisdiction, Ottawa ignored us.
The Premier announces a panel to come up with new ideas. Plus, Albertans stick with the status quo.
The results of this by-election could not be more disastrous for the Republican Party of Alberta.
Voters in rural Alberta reject separatism. And heartbreak for a local family.
We don't even know what quality of life she will have. Like, she might just not be able to even walk or talk.
A dad raising his kids alone as his wife suffers a stroke after giving birth.
CTV Calgary, local breaking news. With Tara Nelson. Reporting tonight, Ian White.
Good evening, and thank you for joining us. The province is again pushing back against Ottawa, and it wants to hear how Albertans want to fight back. A panel will host a series of town halls and then put together possible questions to go to a referendum next year. Jordan Canagan reports.
In the shadow of an oil rig from the past, Alberta's premier is looking to the future.
Ottawa, led by successive Liberal governments propped up by their NDP allies, have attacked our economy and taken direct aim at Alberta's core industries.
Danielle Smith says Alberta is at a crossroads. An Alberta Next panel of more than a dozen people was chosen. Politicians, academics, business leaders, and more will listen to Albertans about defending the province's economy and how to push back against Ottawa.
In the absence of fairness and functionality, each province should be within their rights to explore ways to have greater control of their destiny and defend their interests while remaining firmly in the Federation.
But it comes as separatism sentiment bubbles across the province.
It's a tightrope that she's walking. Right? On the one hand, she wants to support referenda, including on separation, potentially. At the same time, she's trying to work within Canada and get a better deal.
A better deal should include more autonomy, Smith says, and Albertans will be asked to consider a possible Alberta pension plan, a provincial police force, equalization payments, and more.
I mean, Ottawa has been interfering in every aspect of our provincial jurisdiction in deeper and deeper ways for about a decade now, and we've had enough of it. So I would say that this is trying to reset the relationship to get Ottawa focused on its areas of jurisdiction.
Jordan joins us from outside Heritage Park with more on this. So, Jordan, what could the timing look like for all of this?
Well, Ian, most of the panel's work will happen over the next 6 months or so. And as she was making her pitch here at Heritage Park behind me a few hours ago, the Premier says that they will certainly have a better idea of what Albertans want for the path forward by September or so. That's right around the same time Parliament will sit again in Ottawa. In-person and virtual town halls will begin next month and run for 3 months all over the province. In fact, Calgary is the last planned town hall. That is set to happen on September 29th. After that, the panel will craft referendum questions. Albertans will get to vote on that next year. Ian?
Jordan, thanks very much. A provincial government committee has approved extra funding for the Auditor General's investigation into allegations of corruption in private healthcare contracts. Doug Wiley says the scope and complexity of the work means his office needs nearly $1 million more. The money will go toward additional help and cover legal costs. Members from both the UCP and the NDP who sit on the legislature committee that approved the request say Wiley is doing important work. His investigation began earlier this year as a result of allegations made by the former head of Alberta Health Services. The results are in from yesterday's by-election in the Olds Didsbury Three Hills riding, and they took some by surprise, putting a party or two's future into question. Jacqueline Wilson has more.
Tara Sawyer and the United Conservative Party has held on to the rural riding of Olds Didsbury Three Hills with 61% of the vote.
Oh, I'm just very happy that Tara has won it.
The NDP finished with 20%, beating both the Republican Party of Alberta and the Wild Rose Loyalty Coalition.
I have never, ever voted NDP, but I just felt this time that we needed a change.
Many were curious if the Republican Party, which focused on Alberta's secession, would receive more votes in an area that elected a separatist MLA Gordon Kessler in 1982. And it comes at a time when discontent with Ottawa is high in Alberta.
The results of this by-election in Old Didsbury Three Hills could not be more disastrous for the Republican Party of Alberta. To have come in third behind the NDP is not something that even their most ardent supporters could ever have imagined, and I would expect them to go off into the wilderness at this point.
However, candidate Cameron Davies sees the 18% of votes as the foundation to build support.
It took a step of courage for people to step away from their traditional voting habits and patterns and say, you know what, the status quo isn't working. And my message to them is, we're still here, we're still fighting, we're not going away anytime soon. This is just the beginning.
The Premier hopes to quell the separatist movement and Conservative vote splitting with a stronger relationship with Mark Carney's government.
The sentiment that you're seeing was created in Ottawa by 10 years of terrible policy. And I think it can also be dialed down by Ottawa by undoing 10 years of terrible policy and allowing us to get back to investing and allowing us to be able to chart our own course as a province in our areas of jurisdiction. So I think that the jury is very much still out on the future of that movement, but I'm very hopeful that we'll be able to address these concerns so that sentiment subsides.
Jacqueline Wilson, CTV News, Didsbury.
The Canadian Taxpayers Federation says it supports the government spending money on a referendum because it's giving Albertans a voice regardless of the topic. Elections Alberta will release official by-election results by July 3rd.
What a room! What a night!
Alberta's NDP won 2 by-elections in Edmonton last night. Former Calgary Mayor and current NDP leader Naheed Nenshi is now an MLA-elect after winning in Edmonton Strathcona with more than 80% of the vote. The NDP's Gurtej Singh Brar won in Edmonton Ellerslie. The legislature is not scheduled to resume sitting until late October.
You're watching CTV News, Calgary.
Fish and wildlife officers have decided to leave a bobcat that attacked a Calgary woman alone. The woman was walking her dog in the southeast neighborhood of Parkland when witnesses say the bobcat ran toward her and jumped on her. She was taken to hospital with cuts and scratches. Despite concerns from residents about the safety of people and pets, wildlife officers say they've determined the bobcat's behavior was defensive in nature, and they don't plan to trap or euthanize the animal or her kittens. Calgary police officers are seeing an increase in the number of air guns used in crimes all over the city. These are realistic-looking guns that fire BBs or a soft projectile. The problem is officers respond to these calls using real guns, and they don't want to see anyone getting hurt. Kevin Fleming reports.
These are some of the air guns Calgary police have seized in our city. They look and feel like a real gun, and when police are called after someone spotted with one, they respond as if it is a real gun, because it's hard to tell the difference at a distance.
I handled one of these earlier, and it's unbelievable how the look, weight and feel is to my service firearm.
Police say they're used in all kinds of crimes throughout the city, but also by young people playing with them. Last year, 817 air guns were seized in our city, and in the first 5 months of this year, officers have seized 333. Police say they typically get a call a day involving an air gun.
Many youth see these as just as a toy, or they're playing a game. However, that is fine as long as it's in a supervised and in controlled environment. If it's brought out into the public or brought into a public space, then it is seen and treated very much like a weapon, no longer a toy.
Police are asking parents to educate their children on the rules of air guns, and they say it's illegal to fire them within city limits. At the same time, City Council made a move to make public spaces safer by amending its public behavior bylaw that targets people openly showing weapons, including pepper spray.
If you talk to someone that is out walking with their family and they see someone wielding a knife, I can tell you that's not perception anymore. That is actually experiencing something that's quite fearful. So I'm really glad we made this step. Every step we take towards increased public safety matters a lot to Calgarians.
Bylaw officers can now fine someone breaking the rules for up to $250.
If our peace officers are able to ensure that anybody who is wielding a weapon or something like a can of bear spray, if our peace officers are able to address this, that really does help take the burden off of Calgary Police Service.
And Kevin joins us live from the Somerset Bridlewood LRT station. And Kevin, not everyone supported the amendment in council today.
No, that's right, Ian. Ward 7 Councillor Terry Wong says it's good, but not good enough. He'd like to see bylaw officers with even more authority to search someone suspected of carrying a weapon on the LRT or even just walking along the sidewalk. He says that could go a long way to preventing criminal activity with gangs breaking into jewelry stores or other businesses. Ian?
Thanks, Kevin. Don't crank your car stereo or rev your engine too much this summer, or you could end up with a ticket. Police will be targeting drivers operating excessively loud or modified vehicles. The focus is on noisy mufflers, engine revving, squealing tires, loud music, and recurring alarms. Officers will use decibel meters and body-worn cameras to detect violations. The fines go up to $300. Calgarians are urged to report noisy vehicles by calling 311. There will be no changes made to the parking lot at Edworthy Park, and that means no fees to park. The city had planned to pave and expand the parking lot on the north side of the park and would have introduced pay parking there. The gravel lot is one of 2 access points to Edworthy, and it's popular with park goers and commuters going downtown. The community raised an objection to paving over part of the park to make the lot bigger. Councillors say there will be community consultation about how to improve the area.
So the folks in Point McKay and Parkdale that were a part of the process fully agree that we need to do some minor enhancements, and that is the annual grading, but also improve some of the safety areas in there. So what are the changes we can do now and the enhancements we can take forward in the 2026 year?
The lot will remain in its current condition with maintenance as needed. A boating advisory that was put into effect for the Bow River in Calgary 2 days ago has been lifted. The fire department says flow rates on both the Bow and Elbow rivers have decreased since that heavy rainfall on the weekend, and conditions have improved. But there's still reduced visibility and the water temperature remains cold. You can resume normal activities on the rivers, but the city encourages caution, and as always, life jackets must be worn on watercraft. Okay, Danielle, no complaints about today's weather. I thought it was just a delightful day.
You're right, Ian. It was absolutely delightful. We had a bright day. The winds were relatively calm for much of the day. The winds are picking up a little now. We had a little bit of instability by about 4:30, so a weak thunderstorm pushed through the far north end of the city, as you can see. Now it's out, just couple little pockets of isolated showers in the far northeast end. All right, it's still an unstable day. We still have the potential for shower and thunderstorm activity here and there. Weak thunderstorm activity if we get it at all. 21 degrees is the temperature right now at the airport. It's gusting around 30 kilometers per hour. And tomorrow, not as bright. We're looking at a lot of cloud cover, the risk of thunderstorms, especially after 4. And some of those thunderstorms could even come with some medium-sized hail. More details coming up, Ian.
Thanks, Danielle. Dozens of kids and their parents are reading in the wild tonight. People are stretched out on the grass at Central Memorial Park for the outdoor readathon. It is free to everyone, and the Calgary Public Library has books on site in case you need something new to read. This goes until 7 tonight, and it is a beautiful evening for it. At the G7 summit, Mark Carney promised Canada would increase military spending. And this week at the NATO summit, more talk of hiking spending, how much the new request would cost. And will the ceasefire hold? Donald Trump uses some spicy language in response. The U.S. president says the Israel-Iran ceasefire he arranged is back in effect. The truce seems to be holding after a furious Donald Trump lashed out at both countries, and he used some colorful language to make his point. Joy Malbon reports.
After brokering a fragile ceasefire, the U.S. president visibly angry and let the F word fly.
We basically have 2 countries that have been fighting so long and so hard that they don't know what the they're doing. Do you understand that?
Sending a message to warring nations, Israel and Iran, to knock it off.
I think they both violated it. I'm not sure they did it intentionally. They couldn't rein people back. I don't like the fact that Israel went out this morning at all, and I'm going to see if I can stop it.
After agreeing to Donald Trump's ceasefire overnight, the Israeli army struck hard at Iranian government targets, including a radar site north of Tehran. And Israel says it struck back too after Iranian missiles had been fired in the south, killing 4 Israelis. The president trying to hold this truce together, telling reporters he was firm, demanding Israel's prime minister bring back its planes and stop the bombing.
Tired of it. I think they don't want it to happen again. And Iran's not going to have a nuclear weapon, by the way. I think it's the last thing on their mind right now.
After the U.S. bombed 3 of Iran's nuclear facilities deep underground and days of Israeli strikes on nuclear targets, Iran has been weakened. But how far has Tehran nuclear ambitions been set back?
Is there any highly enriched uranium left? And are there any of these centrifuges left as well? That's a big question.
And an early U.S. intelligence report suggests that America's bunker-busting bombs may not have destroyed Iran's nuclear sites. This is at odds with the president, who insists they were completely obliterated. Joy Malvin, CTV News, Washington.
More than 100 Canadians are scheduled to leave Jordan tonight on a government-chartered flight. It's part of ongoing efforts to assist those who want to flee the fighting in the region.
As of today, we have helped over 500 Canadians in the region. We've deployed additional consular services throughout the region.
Canada is also helping other allied nations get their citizens out of the Middle East, but the number of foreign nationals asking for help is minimal compared to the number of Canadians. There's also ground transportation available to help get Canadians out of Israel to a neighboring country, and Global Affairs has deployed more consular assistance to the region. Prime Minister Mark Carney is in the Netherlands tonight, meeting with other leaders of NATO countries. While the conflict in the Middle East and Russia's invasion of Ukraine will be at the top of the agenda, Carney will also face more calls to hike military spending. Jeremy Chiron reports.
An historic NATO summit now underway in the Netherlands. Prime Minister Mark Carney joining all 32 alliance members in The Hague.
Thank you personally for your
meeting with many today for bilateral meetings.
handshake. Okay, very good.
The summit set to focus on a new defense investment plan aimed at increasing NATO's collective readiness.
And it's important to be clear what we are potentially, and I think likely to all agree tomorrow, which is, and let's take the 5% of GDP figure, which is a big, huge, big number.
That figure would become the new baseline defense spending target. 3.5% would be core defense spending and another 1.5% on defense-related infrastructure investments. The increase would cost Canada tens of billions more a year.
How much is it actually for you?
5% of our GDP would be about $150 billion.
I mean, that's a lot.
It's a lot of numbers.
Per year?
Per year.
But a timeline to get to it is the next big question. And Canada's Foreign Affairs Minister says it will be an important part of the conversation.
And one of the dates that is being proposed is 2029. And we like to see steps along the way where there can be a re-examination of whether this is the right approach.
But Canada arrives at the summit having only just committed to meet the current 2% target this fiscal year. And some suggest Carney's government has work to do to re-establish Canada's reputation on the issue.
Canada's credibility collectively and the Canadian reputation that Mr. Carney inherited when he became Prime Minister is far from great on this issue.
An official decision on increasing the alliance's defense spending commitment will come tomorrow, when all 32 member nations sit down for the summit's main meeting, where support for Ukraine is on the agenda too. Jeremy Sherrill, CTV News, The Hague.
This is CTV News, Calgary.
So, Danielle, we're looking ahead to another nice day tomorrow with a bit of a change, maybe more clouds on the horizon.
Yes, it will be less bright tomorrow, more cloud cover, and the thunderstorms that we could get could be a little more intense than what we had today. I'll show you the hour by hour in just a moment, but temperatures have recovered nicely in many areas. Banff, though, still cool at 12. It's 21 in Calgary right now, 24 in Lethbridge and Medicine Hat, and 23 in Brooks and Drumheller. Okay, looking at the maximum wind gust for today just shows you that we had a relatively calm day out there. Yes, it's a little breezy out there right now in Calgary, Pincher Creek, but overall, Nothing too crazy with regards to the wind. Now it's going to pick up a little bit for the evening, and then tomorrow it will be a little windy, 40, 50 kilometers per hour in the far south end, and then for Calgary up to 40 at times. And when we get the thunderstorms moving through later in the day tomorrow. All right, and this is a look at what's been happening. So we have that instability that's been basically creeping down the foothills here. And we did have a brief little thunderstorm in the north end of the city. And I'm just going to zoom in to show you what's been happening here. So around 4:30 this afternoon, a quick little thunderstorm, no hail with this, a decent downpour, short-lived, brief and out, a little bit of lightning. What's behind it? Not much going on right now, but we have the potential for isolated showers and thunderstorms up until about 10 o'clock tonight. Even we could see a little brief something up until 1 in the morning. Okay, and then we have clouds creeping in through the overnight hours. So mainly cloudy for tomorrow morning in much of southern Alberta. And then here's a look at what could happen for later in the day tomorrow, especially after 4 p.m. Pockets of showers and even thunderstorms just almost as far south as Lethbridge. Likely Lethbridge and south will be in the clear, and then just north of Lethbridge, up Highway 2, up Kiwi 2. We are looking at the potential for thunderstorms, and some of these thunderstorms, because it will be very unstable, could even come with some medium-sized hail. So these are ones, you know, get the car in the garage, that kind of thing. All right, quick look at Thursday. Thursday, we'll see a little more sunshine throughout the day, but then afternoon showers and thunderstorms possible once again. And Friday looks a bit rainy. So even in the morning hours, this is a look at Friday morning, on and off rain is possible, and we could pick up 5 millimeters by then. All right, your Action Furnace 5-day forecast. Here you go, 23 degrees for tomorrow, a lot of cloud cover, late day thunderstorms, a lot of sunshine for Thursday, but late day thunderstorms once again. And Friday will be cooler, rainy at times, but we'll bounce back into the 20s by the weekend. Ian?
Thank you, Danielle. The Hangar Flight Museum is celebrating some new upgrades with a grand reopening to mark half a century of operations. Some of the renovations, totaling just over $1 million, include larger walkways, a new loading dock with a ramp, and a mezzanine extension in the historic main hangar. The upgrades come after nearly 2 years of planning. As we hit summer break, the museum is hoping the changes attract people of all ages to check out the historic facility.
We've got 36 aircraft, historic aircraft, military and civilian. We have open plane days this summer where we open up various aircraft on weekends over the summer. And we have many more events, and we welcome everyone to come to the hangar.
The building was built in 1941 as part of the British Commonwealth Air Training Plan and has been the Hangar Flight Museum since 1975. Only a couple of weeks ago, she gave birth to their third child. Her family should be celebrating. Instead, they're in a crisis after the mom suffered a stroke. And later, hope for pipelines. Alberta's premier says she expects to see a proposal soon. A Calgary mother of 3 still hasn't regained consciousness after suffering a stroke just days after she gave birth. Now her husband is reaching out for support as he wrestles with the unknowns and cares for their 2 toddler sons and newborn daughter. As Stephanie Thomas tells us, women are at increased risk of blood pressure disorders and stroke in pregnancy, which is why doctors encourage frequent monitoring to avoid rare complications.
Ifat Shakti gave birth to a baby named Julia on June 5th. It was an uncomplicated delivery, but 7 days later, Shakti suffered a stroke. Doctors performed brain surgery, but she still hasn't woken up.
She's under a lot of sedation and a lot of medicine to keep her like paralyzed pretty much.
Her husband, Marco Martel, says her medical team believes high blood pressure led to a rare complication postpartum. His 28-year-old wife remains in the intensive care unit at the Foothills Hospital. Most of her family is in her home country, Bangladesh. Martel cannot work and cares for their 3-year-old and 1-year-old boys and a newborn.
Sometimes the neurological test is good, other times it's bad.
He set up a GoFundMe page to help the family get by as they wait for the medical team to update them.
We don't even know what quality of life she will have. Like she might just not be able to even walk or talk.
The Heart and Stroke Foundation says women are at higher risk of stroke in pregnancy, birth, and postpartum.
The average rate of stroke in pregnancy is less than 1%, in fact, less than 0.1%. However, what we see is it's much more common in people who've had high blood pressure during pregnancy.
She says blood pressure readings are crucial immediately after delivery. However, the risk can continue later in life.
We know we need to do better at a health system level to have programs to better support home blood pressure monitoring for patients.
Martel doesn't want any other family to go through what he's going through.
But no matter what, because I'm her husband, even if she comes as a vegetable or whatever the situation is, I'm going to still keep her alive and be by her side and make sure that she at least get to see her kids grow.
Stephanie Thomas, CTV News, Calgary.
About 5 to 10% of all pregnancies in Alberta will experience high blood pressure. The Heart and Stroke Foundation says shortness of breath, vision changes, headaches are symptoms to watch out for. Researchers at the University of Calgary will get a rare chance to gather data at the Calgary Stampede. The Stampede is working with the university's Faculty of Veterinary Medicine on a few different studies. One will look at how much of an impact additional shade has on the horses competing at the various events. Another will analyze the infield and the racetrack and use equipment to see how horse movements change over multiple days of racing. A third study will use blood tests and ECGs to study the hearts of rodeo horses. Those conducting the studies say the rodeo gives them a rare opportunity to study a lot of horses at once.
In horse equine studies, it's very difficult to have a large number of animals. You know, if you read the literature, you have basically two types of studies. You have the studies in a lab, an equine lab, where you have honestly published 6 to 10 horses, and you have the field studies where it's really hard to get 50, 100 horses.
The Stampede hopes that this research not only helps their future rodeos, but other events around the world. Last year, 4 animals had to be euthanized during the Stampede. Shania Twain will be the parade marshal, and she's hoping to make a difference when it comes to food insecurity. Stats Canada data shows food insecurity affects 10 million Canadians, including 2.5 million children. Twain hopes to reduce these numbers by committing $25,000 to several cities, including Calgary. These funds will provide 75,000 meals to people facing food insecurity in our city. Twain's summer tour kicks off at the Stampede on July 5th, and she is the parade marshal on Friday, July 4th. He's a kid who had a head start the second he was born. Next, the parents of a 15-pound baby bring us up to date as the big guy approaches his first birthday. Parents in Ontario are sharing their story nearly 1 year after mom delivered a 15-pound baby.
We got through it all, and I mean, he's thriving. He's doing amazing.
On July 4th last year, baby Grayson was born via C-section, weighing 15 pounds, 10 ounces. He left the hospital wearing 6-month-size clothes and a size 3 diaper. His parents, Stacy and Paul, say although Grayson was born big, his growth slowed down to match other kids his age. They say they're sharing their story to encourage other parents who may face similar experiences.
I have enough 14 pounds too.
14 pounds. 14. And everything was fine? Childhood was good for him?
Good. Perfect.
There you go.
You guys are stressing me out right now.
Don't worry about it. Well, it's a bachelorette party everyone will remember after the bride's friends surprised her with this. When the blindfold came off, the bride realized all her friends were dressed up as dads who grill. And Dire Straits' hit Money for Nothing completes the retro dad vibe. This happened at a bachelorette get-together on Vancouver Island. Marielle Prue posted it to her Instagram page, where it got more than 300,000 likes.
Wow.
Dads who grill. I think, Glenn, they're making fun of us Because we have daughters about that age, and we are dads who grill, so oh well.
Rain, shine, snow,
Me too. Well, here's something that may give you a greater appreciation of the skills of your local bartender. This was posted only a few days ago on TikTok. The person behind the account calls it pure visual zen. It got 4.4 million likes on TikTok. This TikTok page, by the way, features nothing but ice carving and slicing. Look at that. Yeah, it's shaped like a glass itself.
Satisfying.
Oh, yeah, very impressive. Finally, a rare sight in nature, part of the ritual mating captured live, or the mating ritual, I should say. Don't worry, you won't see anything graphic. Tyrone Peters put up his drone off the coast of Australia and captured several humpback whales in a so-called heat hunt. The male whales are in pursuit of one female. Who knows which one won her over, but it will likely ensure there will be a baby whale weighing about 1.5 tons just less than a year from now. Apparently the gestation period for the humpback is less than a year. Yes. And hey, and we started with a 15-pound baby. We end up with a 1.5-ton baby.
All of that stressing me out, by the way.
It could be worse. Well, it's a 100% made in Canada car. Still ahead, the EV that could be on our roads within a few years.
All right, Skywatch weather camera. A beautiful day in Calgary today. The winds for much of the day were relatively calm. It was bright and quiet. And temperatures gone to the 20s and really right where we should be. Not too hot, not too cold. We got to a high of 22 in Calgary today. Out east, they're still dealing with that excessive heat and humidity. So just the air temperature alone in Toronto, 35 degrees. But with the humidity, it felt more like 44. So that's starting to improve and regulate over these next couple of days. And we've improved, so we've gotten warmer, and we're now where we should be. We'll be around where we should be for the next couple of days. All right, a little bit of instability. We had a quick little thunderstorm, weak thunderstorm in the north end of Calgary. This one right here, just outside of Red Deer near Caroline, did spark up an Environment Canada severe thunderstorm warning, but this cell is now weakening, but it was producing some potentially Toonie-size hail. Okay, and then a little bit of instability in the mountains here. We still have the potential for an isolated shower or thunderstorm right up until 1 a.m., but it's not that unstable, so it would be weak if we get it at all. For tomorrow, Red Deer, 23 degrees. Rocky Mountain House is where we have a potential thunderstorm activity, and these are the other areas. Olds down through Calgary, High River, even Coronation, maybe Drumheller, Crosnest Pass down through Pincher Creek is our most likely spots for thunderstorm activity. Even Brooks could see some of that as well. All right, your 24-hour forecast for Calgary brought to you by Action Furnace. Fixed right or it's free. Tomorrow will be more unstable. So 22 is a high, more cloud cover throughout the day, and by the afternoon hours, a pretty good chance of seeing showers and thunderstorm activity. Ian?
Thank you, Danielle. Premier Danielle Smith has appointed an Alberta Next panel. The group of politicians, academics, business leaders, and others will listen to Albertans about defending the economy and how to push back against Ottawa. The UCP has won the by-election in Olds, Disbury, Three Hills. The NDP finished in second place there, and the separatist Republican Party of Alberta was third. Calgary police are sounding the alarm about air guns. They're reminding parents to educate their kids about the rules because officers are responding to complaints as if they're real guns. It's a message of stay the course for now from the chair of the U.S. Federal Reserve. He spoke at a committee meeting today in Washington. BNN Bloomberg's Mirella Fernandez has more on that and other business headlines.
The chair of the U.S. Federal Reserve says he's in no rush to lower interest rates despite the pressure from the American president. Jerome Powell spoke to lawmakers today. He repeated his intention to wait for the impact of tariffs before adjusting the lending rate. Donald Trump has routinely ridiculed Powell for not lowering rates. Only last week, the Federal Reserve left the rates unchanged. Now, the Bank of Canada's next rate announcement will be at the end of July. The Alberta Premier expects a new pipeline proposal on her desk in weeks. Danielle Smith is speaking with several energy companies about building one to northwestern BC. There's been a push to build new energy infrastructure in Canada to send more oil and gas to foreign markets. A new study reveals Canadians aren't embracing AI at work. KPMG looked at levels of AI training and literacy in 47 countries. Canada ranked 44th. One reason Canadians just don't trust the technology, they don't feel they can rely on it. Here's how the trading day ended. The Canadian dollar is up a fraction to 72.85. West Texas Intermediate is down more than $4 to 64.37. Our fix on Western Canadian Select has it down more than $4.50 to 57.24. And the TSX is up more than 100 points, hitting another record close at 26,718. Those are your business headlines. I'm Marilla Fernandez.
A zero-emission electric car is in development, made with nearly all Canadian components. The hope is the vehicle will drive the auto industry on this side of the border. Sean Leathong reports.
Rolling into the era of a Canadian car company, this zero-emissions EV prototype is called Project Aero, and 97% of the materials used to build it come from Canada.
At a time when everybody was looking to make major investments in EVs, we wanted to make a statement that Canada can do the whole thing for you.
The vehicle was first revealed at the 2023 Consumer Electronics Show in Las Vegas, a joint venture between the Auto Parts Manufacturers Association along with Carleton University and Ontario Tech University, with engineering students helping to assemble the vehicle.
We have everything it takes, so this is physical proof that we can do it. So we're trying to gain the exposure and show people that this is the proof, this is the drivable business card.
Project Aero has been around the world, driving business to Canada. According to the APMA, the $20 million price tag to develop the project has resulted in $5 million in investment in Canada's auto industry. Now they're moving to Project Aero 2.0, creating a fleet of electric vehicles.
We're in a moment now where we're talking about building a resilient Canadian economy while it's under attack by the guy in the White House. And the Prime Minister's challenged everybody to be ambitious. Well, there's nothing more ambitious than launching a Canadian car company.
For Project Aero 2.0, they'll build 2 vehicles a year for the next 3 years, with the hope of showing investors and government that Canada can have its own car company.
In Canada, I think that what we want to say thoughtfully and responsibly is let's bring the best minds of Canada together to see if this is something we should and could do.
As for when this vehicle could actually be in production, Flavio Volpe says if the right people are in place, it'll take about 5 years. Sean Leathong, CTV News.
A virtual power plant is under construction in a neighborhood in Edmonton. The plant is made up of 100 batteries deployed throughout homes in a solar-powered community. Instead of excess energy from solar panels flowing directly to the power grid, the energy is stored on site. That stored energy is then put onto the grid when demand is high. According to EPCOR, virtual power plants will save customers money, and they're better for the environment.
This virtual power plant is tangible proof of what this innovation can mean for our communities. It gives these homeowners the benefit of clean, reliable energy that will lower their overall utility costs, and it gives other customers a new reliable source of energy that they can draw on if needed.
The batteries can also provide the community with emergency backup power. Canada's first super tall skyscraper is being built in Toronto. The designation became official today when construction at 1 Bloor West surpassed the 300-meter mark. Once complete, it will be the tallest residential building in Canada at 85 stories. It will also be the second tallest human-made structure in Canada after the CN Tower. Top amateur golfers are going for a prestigious title in Calgary. Coming up, Glenn shows us how some experienced and young competitors are doing in the Ladies City Amateur. Adidas is getting set to re-release the iconic shoes that were once worn by a Canadian hero. Terry Fox's navy blue and white Adidas Orions are being re-released on July 3rd in honor of the 45th anniversary of the Marathon of Hope. The announcement comes as Terry's brother Daryl and the National Ride of Hope passed through Thunder Bay today, the same location where Terry's cross-Canada run came to an end in 1980. The 7,000-kilometer ride across Canada has nearly reached its goal of raising $1 million for cancer research. It was the second round of the Calgary City Ladies Amateur at the Calgary Golf and Country Club today. Glenn is back with us, and some pretty good scores out there today.
Ian, the scoring was much better than it was on day one of the championship. The final round goes tomorrow, and it's looking like it might come down to the final hole. It was a beautiful day for round two of the Calgary Ladies City Amateur at the beautiful Calgary Golf and Country Club. Emily Cornwall of Springbank Links is the defending champ, and she's tied for the lead with Tessa Ion after 2 days. Cornwall shot a 1 under 70 on Tuesday and is 4 over heading into the final round.
So as much as there's pressure from, outside factors to perform and do well, I think the most amount of pressure comes from yourself, and I think that's where the drive for my game comes from anyway. So I think just, using that self-pressure to kind of push me along this week is what I need to do.
Cornwall would love to repeat as the Ladies City Amateur champ. She knows she'll have to have another strong round on Wednesday and feels this will be the key.
Good putting. The putting out here is tough, and that's probably, this course is just about only defense. It's pretty short, just about, getting it in close and just making those putts. I mean, that's really what it was the last 2 days, so that's what it's going to be the third day. So just got to stay patient on the greens, and I think that'll be what wins it.
Megan LeBlanc is a 5-time City Ladies Amateur champ. She had the lead after day one, but fell back a bit today after a 6 over 77, but still just 4 shots off the pace.
A little tougher today, just on the wrong side a couple of those pins, and had a couple 3-putts, but course is in great shape, so, hit some good shots, so, just build on that tomorrow.
14-year-old Alessandra Sundquist of Willow Park teed it up with LeBlanc and another past champ, Andrea Cosa. She birdied her final 2 holes to shoot a 79 on day 2 and will cherish this experience.
It can be a little intimidating sometimes, seeing the really big girls get out there and just how far they hit it. But it's a great experience being in this tournament. It's really fun with all of them.
It's a tight leaderboard heading into the final round. Asta Savadati is 2 shots off the pace. Sophie Dhaliwal 3 back, and Sydney Bisgrove 4 shots off the pace. Should be a great final round tomorrow. I'll be out there.
Yeah, I bet. And a 14-year-old as well.
Isn't that incredible? This is her 3rd one she's played in, by the way.
Wow. Yeah, amazing. Yeah, bright future for her. Okay, Danielle, we had a lot of fog early this morning, but it burned off eventually.
A lot of fog. Fog advisory was in place, Calgary and areas to the west of Calgary. So we won't have to deal with fog, but tomorrow won't be as bright. Just keep that in mind. A good amount of cloud cover, and then after 4 p.m. we get into the chance of showers and thunderstorms. Some of these thunderstorms could actually be a little more intense, certainly a little more intense than today, and even some medium-sized hail possible. So if you have a garage and you have a car, put those 2 together. Okay, 23 degrees is our high, though, for tomorrow, and then more sunshine expected for Thursday, with, again, late-day thunderstorms possible. Kind of the story this week. Weather Window brought to you by Lux Windows and Doors, crafting quality windows and doors for your style, budget, and Alberta's climate. And Brian Rushfelt sent this in from Rocky Ridge in the northwest. So he saw the fog. We all saw that fog, and at times up to 0 visibility.
Yeah, it was quite thick indeed. Thank you very much. Thank you for watching, and have a great night.